Hi, welcome everybody to another episode of the Fargonauts. Is this technically reel to reel? I don't know, but we're watching another episode of Twin Peaks.
Peak to peak.
Mm, peak to peak. Yeah, river to river. The freaking immaculate series from late 80s, early 90s. And we are in the middle of season 2. We just watched The Orchid's Curse with Mr. Harold Smith. And the next episode we're going to be watching is called Demons.
Amos.
And I don't know. I'm always excited to watch more Twin Peaks, especially with my Broichi boys.
Yeah.
It's just we're getting into the thick dick of it. We are in one of the major arteries, not a vein. We are traveling away from the heart, I think, not to the heart.
Good analogy.
That's not an analogy. That's my opinion, Tyler.
Okay. Good opinion.
Guys, do you ever get like combative for no reason with your friends?
Oh, all the time.
I know, because you just say the word no.
No,
No, I
I
don't.
like that.
No.
Yeah, I'm excited for this episode. Like we discussed in our last episode, there was a lot of cool stuff happening. Hawk got to freaking Bowie knife a dude in the back.
You got to drink 3 pots of chamomile tea.
I was asleep when that happened. I think.
Oh no, you spoke up. You're like, no. You did
Of course I
something.
did.
You did something.
My-
Your dream soul
my-
was present.
My dream soul was present, but I
Your
was.
dream soul inhabited.
Yeah, it was great. You did that a few times and we're like, okay. Out of nowhere, we're like, okay.
And then
I'm glad I
straight back
could
into the
contribute.
ether.
He pulled me out for some. David Lynch pulled me out for like a second, and then I just escaped back.
I kind of like I genuinely there's a part of me that's like I hope that Eric can stay awake for all of the returns so that he can witness everything. But then again, if that was what was going on in the background, what kind of dreams would you have? And I kind of want you to be influenced in that way. So it's a battle that we all have to face, whether or not we want Eric to sleep or not.
I just get so comfy watching this show, dude.
Yeah, the
get
atmosphere and everything, the music, it just lulls you into this dream state. And I think that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to give you those vibes, to like,
Right.
because I think that's his. I mean, he likes to get dreamy. That's Lynch's modus operandi. He'd like, I want to get dreamy with it. So when he gets into that dream state,
Get dreamy with it.
you gotta like ride that line of like lulling them into this weird meditative state where your perception is off or something is not as it seems, or it's like reality is twisted a little bit to get on the level of what he's trying to say in this story. So
Right.
yeah, maybe you're doing it right, Bradshaw, and we're doing it wrong.
Well,
Hey, stop playing that guitar and put on this hood.
sometime
John,
sometimes we can just put on a playlist of Twin Peaks, hit record, and just all go to sleep and see what happens.
I've done that listening to the archive stuff. I put that on when I go to sleep.
But
Yeah.
are you talking about us recording ourselves like
Mhm.
a fucking reaction video?
Yeah.
We could do an ASMR,
Like-
like we just talk, like really.
I don't.
Hey everybody,
Like we're
welcome to this
listening or
episode.
watching something Twin Peaks, and then we go to sleep while it happens.
Hi guys, I just want to welcome you to this
And we record the whole thing.
episode of Fargonauts. Tonight we're all going to be drinking some sleepy time tea, and we're going to be gently sleeping to episode 7 of season 2 of Twin Peaks. What if?
Get real Hugo with it.
Oh
Do you-
yeah.
Yeah, and well, I was just going to say, like, I don't know if there's like any roadblocks for any of us of like communal sleeping. If we could all be in the same
dude.
room, just be like, all right, gents, and
Dude, you know I have no qualms about communal
I
sleep.
know you don't. I'm talking about the group dynamic. It's like we have a fucking somebody. What do you call that? An anchor on a team where you're like they're gonna perform.
Yeah.
Right.
You're the anchor. We know that you're gonna perform.
Oh,
We
yeah.
just don't know how the whole team. We never put the
Right.
whole team out in the bobsled before. It's always just been you. So if we all got in a room together, we're like,
Broad
"All right,
sled.
gentlemen,
The broadside beam.
synchronize your watches, gentlemen, and sleep in 3, 2, and we all fall asleep at the same time while playing Twin Peaks in the background. What would that be like?
Jesus,
Right.
I have no idea. Well,
Can we trust Eric's dream soul to not bring us into some deeper level of consciousness that we're not aware of?
that's
Tyler?
what I'm worried about because he has so much experience doing the
I will guide the way.
dream state broad show. You know, like his dream soul will invade ours and like manipulate ours and like turn us into him or something.
I don't even know that it
We'll
would
show
be.
you the way.
It could be conscious, or it could be just an unconscious thing where, like, just by his mere presence, being this fucking dream soul that drifts between the two, he pulls us with him unwittingly and maybe forcibly, and we're like,
mean-
no!
Well, yeah, he has some influence in the dream soul's like state. So like we're just newbies in it. So he's like, I'll show you the way. He just grabs us and he like he takes us, whisks us away like freaking Falcor and Never Ending Story, and we're like, oh my god, where are we going?
The hats are not what they seem.
I am Peter Pan, and you are the darling children.
We're the darlings. Yeah,
I want to be Michael.
I'll be John.
Well, yeah, you are John. If I'm Michael, then you are John.
Well, no, one of you could be
Glasses.
Wendy.
I could be Nana. Nana gets
Well,
her
I
time
have
to fly.
You want to say that's one of the darling children? Is Nana?
Nana is the freaking yeah. It got to fly.
Of a wonderful thing.
Okay, well,
Any little thing can give you wings.
we're going off on tangents upon tangents.
Think of Christmas, think of snow, think of broad show, here we go.
Dude, tangents is what happens when you give in to the dream's hole.
Oh my gosh. Well, I just want to quick say thanks everybody for watching. If you watched our previous episode and you commented, thank you for commenting. Definitely give us a comment on this one. Hit that like button. Subscribe.
We should just live our lives. We should live every episode as if everybody commented on the previous episode, everybody liked, everybody subscribed. They are
Yeah.
doing this. If we just live in that quantum state of they have previously done
Manifest.
We
this, yeah,
manifested it.
we're manifesting and we're the
Chaos
most
magic
successful
this bit.
that we could ever be.
Yeah.
So thank
Hopefully-
you. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you for all the likes and subscriptions. It really means a lot to us.
Yeah, sorry we didn't address any in this episode, but we'll address
We don't
some.
wanna single
in future.
anybody out, you know.
Yeah, true. There's so many we couldn't get to all of them. So,
A rising tide sinks all ships.
so yeah, definitely. If you like this stuff and you want to be notified for more, hit that notification bell, and you'll be notified whenever we drop a new episode of Twin Peaks. And definitely think about subscribing. And we'll get into this next episode. Demons.
Who's the cowardly lion? Who's the scarecrow? You determine in your life.
Yeah.
Who these figures
Which
are.
one is James?
Which one is Nadine?
One's Nadine. Good question.
Aunt Nadine.
She's the Lollipop Guild for sure.
We got to figure out what the other other
There's-
factions of fucking Munchkins are.
There's the one Lollipop Guild dude that's got like a winky eye.
Well, there's
That's
the
They-
Yeah.
Lollipop Guild. There's the Lullaby League.
Yeah, the Lullaby League. There's got to be more too. Fucking the yellow bricklayers, the union of bricklayers in Munchkin Land.
Yellow bricklayers. That sounds really like yeah, it's like a slur. Yeah,
Oh,
yellow
God.
bricklayer.
Oh yeah, I don't like that, but I like it, but I don't like how it sounds. Now that you said that.
Well, it's like when you just call somebody yellow belly. They're cowards, you know. It's like yeah,
Yellow
yellow
belly.
bricklayer.
You yellow-bellied lizard. Skizzard.
That was definitely a banger of an ending, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, we have a lot to talk about in this episode.
Just based on the ending of this, what do you think next episode's going to be?
Based off the ending of this, they're gonna track down who's been there for 40 years, I guess. I don't know, like
Bobby.
who has a connection with
And Bob.
the Great Northern Hotel. They're gonna speculate, I guess. They're gonna I don't know. I don't want them to draw straight conclusions right off the bat. I just want them to investigate more of like what the Great Northern significance is.
Hmm. I think next episode is going to be like um, a lot of what do you like reveal moments, I guess. Not even reveals, but just like turning points
It's called
for a few
Lonely
different.
Souls or something like that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I haven't looked.
Season 2, Episode 7, Lonely Souls. Yep.
Loneliest holes.
Yeah. This episode was definitely a banger. There's a lot of good things that happened. This dude, great.
Having a spritz.
Ah!
Well, we got something unique that we've never had before, which is the usual intro that goes into a scene that then goes back to credits.
Yeah, it was like, all right, we're gonna be done with this guy. Just let us like kind of capstone this moment because we're not gonna deal with him anymore. Because James comes in out of nowhere, like, get on my way.
This is not the last time that we will see Harold Smith, but this is certainly like his last performance.
Yeah, just chill out, dude. Like,
But this is like a fraught, an emotionally fraught scene. It's or wrought, I guess.
yeah,
It is this, could be distressing, and then we just cut back to like this score of unease and black and white with credits and like the panning shot of the woods and then the fucking owl and everything. These are all the elements that like set the stage for the atmosphere and mood.
yeah, he's so unhinged. There he goes. Wow. So
We'll do another. I think he doesn't.
so yeah, and then that owl. Yeah, so the owl's always watching him. That I think that's hilarious. Like, you stay in there, bud. We don't want you screaming outside like a crazy
Stop your
lunatic.
screaming.
Crazy
I'm
lunatic.
nocturnal, not deaf.
Yeah, creepy little like pre-credits credit scene.
This shot right there, that shot right there reminds me so much of that one scene in The Return of Dale and Laura.
Okay, yeah.
I don't want to say like a ton more, but like, god damn.
Oh yeah, and this is the episode where we see David Lynch, and his intro is great. There's the owl. Demon. I'm a demon.
Angelo Badalamenti.
So yeah, there's some resolution with the like we talked about, their rescue of Audrey. They bring her back to the Bookhouse Boy Lodge. They hang out there. And then we get some understanding of like John Renault and
John Renault.
the relation and why he wanted Cooper to be there because he killed his brother. Or, I mean, Andy did, but like, I guess Cooper instigated the whole situation that got him killed.
Yeah.
So he wanted some vengeance.
Deputy Brennan was not one of the like. Yeah, Dale was like the like figurehead of that whole operation. So
Yep.
but it's interesting. We talked about last time, like like Sheriff Truman and Dale, they all entered into this under like all these false pretenses and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just interesting how after the fact, one little thing of like, oh, Jean Renault, and I saw this video, Dale just instantly puts it together. Like, where was that forethought before?
Yeah, and like he we talked about it when the scene happened, but he really puts himself down. He's like, I'm a horrible guy. Like, I'm the main character. I should have been there. I should have done something better. And
It's that weird thing of like, you're putting yourself down, but you're also setting yourself on this pedestal where you're like, oh, because of my decisions, and like, I chose to do this thing, and now Audrey's being punished. It's like, dude, it's not about you. Things happen to people and don't then have nothing to do with you.
And I think Harry has a good understanding of that because he even told him in the first season, like, yeah, we work out of our jurisdiction sometimes for the greater good, And it's a new concept for Dale because he does things by the book. He's like, I stepped out of my jurisdiction. I failed my, my vows or whatever of my agency and things like that. And Harry's just like, gives him some coffee, chills him out. It's like, dude, we just do this in Twin Peaks. This is like normal for us.
I mean, that's a very strong point about Sheriff Truman himself. Is like it's not even about Twin Peaks. He's just. I feel like what he's saying to Dale, he would have said to like a judge if they had been hauled in front of a judge and like wagging their finger, like you went out of your jurisdiction. Harry would have just been like, "Hey, the important thing is she's safe.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
like slap me with whatever you want to slap me with. That this person is now safe."
Yeah. No, I see that too, and it just he is so hurt by it. Like Cooper's just so hurt by the situation, and you can tell even in these scenes he's very subdued after this whole thing because he knows Audrey was trying to help him in this situation, even though he's like, Audrey, we can't do this. Like, you can't help me, and she, I mean. After him noticing that she left him that letter, led him down that path of like, oh crap, we got to go rescue her. And there's piles upon piles of other things that led them to there from their own investigation. But he just knew that Audrey was on the right path, but she got in too thick of like too deep of water in that situation. So he's like, if I only would have kept her close, this wouldn't have happened. Or
Yeah, or like taking her a little more seriously or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, keep her close so that she doesn't run off on her own and get too deep into this stuff.
because he like if I was Dale and she's very eager to like want to please him and be there for him or work with him, that she's gonna try to do things her own way. If you keep telling her no, she's just gonna go off and do something. That's her character.
She's Audrey Horn. She gets what she wants.
Yeah, I always get what I want.
Just give her like busy work. Just be like, yeah, you're going to be very important to this. I want you to be at the sheriff's station working in tandem with like Lucy, putting facts together. Help me out here,
Yeah, give her a little menial task. Like, yeah.
But it's clear that Dale like is aware that Ben Horn is involved with One-Eyed Jacks, and
Very.
he's shady. So like it is, to me, it reads both as like strange, but it also makes sense why you kind of feel like, Dale, call out Ben. Just be like, hey, motherfucker, I know
Like,
I know what you're doing.
Stop the act. Yep.
Yeah, you put your daughter like in the line of fire, basically. But he can't really step out and say that because it's not like there's nothing for him to like prove and be able to be like, you're arrested for this. It's just like, I'm aware, but I can't do anything about it.
Well, because that would implicate him too in the whole situation of like, being the money deliverer and stuff like that. That's totally not an FBI's thing to do. Like, yeah.
But even in the scene where Audrey's at the book house and like Ben is coming to collect her, at least me, I'm sitting there and I want Dale to speak up and be like, no, Ben, I'm going to take her home. That's what she wants. She's clearly not comfortable with you right now. It's very obvious.
Yeah.
And as a federal agent, I feel it's my job to step in and do something to protect this person. I don't know. But again, yeah, he clearly can't, because he'd be playing his hand and like exposing a little too much about his involvement.
Yeah, and he like put his finger up to his mouth, and Dale's watching this whole situation go down, and he's just like, you can tell he's holding back, like bursting out and being like, dude, Ben, I know.
Yeah.
I know too much.
Yeah. It's very clear from Kyle MacLachlan's performance that he's like conflicted in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Did we lose Bracho right at the end of the episode? That's magical.
Yeah. Dream Soul happens right at the end.
Good for him. He's getting the best of both worlds. He's getting to sleep and watch Twin Peaks.
Yeah, he is. But yeah, I want to get to the intro of Lynchy Boy coming in hot.
Hard and cold.
I like how he just briskly walks by the door frame. Coop!
I'm looking for... Just a man about town. He just is like a force of nature. He just kind of blows through.
Yep. Albert won't be here anymore.
Albert Rosenfield will not be returning.
I am Gordon Cole.
What does he say? He says
He's
something
supervisor.
He says something. Harry says something to him about like something that rhymes or like sounds kind of like tuna. And then Gordon Cole's like, sounds good, Sheriff, but I already ate. Oh, he says vicuna.
Oh, Vicuna.
And so I can only imagine that Gordon Cole is somehow hearing like tuna.
Yeah, that's good.
That to me right there is like a great encapsulation of his character. Just like he's just steaming on ahead.
Well, yeah, like you gotta think about like he playing this up because I mean it carries over to the return and it's hilarious, but like I want this to be like maybe a interesting like characteristic of him where he's diffusing these situations with like him, cranking this little dial on his chest to like I got the information, but like I'm gonna keep going with the conversation by like giving you new information. I got like you don't have to respond to me. Like I already know what you're gonna say or something. So that's like like he's diffusing the conversation aspect, like the interactions, where he's like, I'm just gonna keep talking.
Yeah, maybe he is kind of playing it up in a way to like put people off of their game where they think that he's less capable or less like smart or able to be a figure of law enforcement so that he's like Harry says later that he's like, hey, we can hear every single thing you guys are saying, but Gordon Cole frequently, even if you can hear what he's saying and he's speak like if it, you kind of correlate like FBI with like maybe espionage or like being covert in some ways. He's not being covert at all. He's broadcasting. He's being the loudest person in a great radius.
Mm-hmm.
But he uses language and he uses phrases that are like meaningful to the people that know him and that work with him. Like he says, like, today you remind me of a small Mexican chihuahua. And clearly Coop's like, hey, what's this? You're onto something here. What are you talking about?
Right. Yeah.
Or in Fire Walk with Me when he's given that weird rundown of his cousin Lil and it all means something.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe because of his performance in The Return, I would definitely lend some credence to that. That like he probably does have some hearing impairment, but he might be accentuating parts of it or using that as a tool in his method of these investigations with the Blue Rose team.
Yes, I think even in The Return, he uses the same technology that he's using here in, this archaic hearing aid kind of thing, because he's still dialing this meter in The Return, where it's like it's always peaking on him, where he's like it's hitting a hiss or there's feedback loop of something kind of, and he's just like he's like too loud. He's making wincy faces.
Do you know what this is, Tammy Preston? It's your spiritual mound.
So yeah, great stuff from Lynch. The big stuff that comes about is towards the end that I mean all the stuff with Josie and Ben I barely care for. They have each other in a stalemate, and they're kind of in cahoots, but also enemies, or just like it's like if you go down, I go down kind of situation. I understand that. Great. Yep, that's been their situation since the get go.
Yeah.
And then the Leo stuff is kind of funny. I know they're doing it for last because whatever. But the stuff I really liked was this.
Yeah. Well, we like I've said, I think that we are in the period of the show where it's going to be a majority of serious or dark or spooky.
Mm-hmm.
So those little moments of levity have to come in somewhere.
Where they're talking anonymous letter that comes through, and it's a chess move. Wyndham Earl. How many times have we heard that name in this show?
At least a handful, like probably like 4 or 5 times up to this point, because now it's going to get starting. It's going to start dropping like probably multiple times an episode.
Have we gotten clues from Wyndham Earl? Like a chess move?
I don't. No. This is the first introduction of him directly interacting with any character in the show. He's
Right.
been mentioned, but this is the first, like, even if he's not on screen, that his presence is being made known.
So in our last episode, we did see him just kind of. Was it him in the bathroom when he was going nuts and like? No, maybe that was 2 episodes ago. But
It was it was within the last 2 or 3 episodes where he was selling shoes to the sheriff and then had his moment in the bathroom.
mm-hmm. This scene is just great. And it seems like Bob, and I've noticed this before, but Bob likes to talk either in riddles or rhymes in some situations, which is kind of interesting, like a interesting characteristic. Because the Fire Walk with Me is definitely a poem. He says a different poem to Dale.
Yeah, in the pilot, Bob says something about like catch you in my death bag or some shit like that. One thing that stood out to me in this dialogue is when Mike says, Dale asks him, "Where does Bob come from?" And Mike says, "That cannot be revealed."
Yeah.
And that can, to me, that reads in a couple different ways. Either like cannot, like I am inhibited by some rule or some higher authority that will not allow me to reveal that. Or I also read that as cannot, as in there is no possible physical way for me to relay this information to you that will make any amount of sense. So it is literally like impossible. I cannot tell you that because your mind can't comprehend it.
I like that. I like that take a little bit more. Like you're not ready for that information. Whatever I say, it won't sound like anything to you. Like
Yeah.
no matter what I say, you're not gonna know what that means.
Even if I told you he's an inhabiting spirit from the Black Lodge or whatever you say, it's not going to really do it justice or even come close. I don't know. That really stood out to me as being like, yeah, talking in like kind of similar to Gordon Cole. Like they're using language that on its surface you can understand, but it seems, at least to them, have a deeper meaning.
Yeah, like when he gives him the riddle of like a place surrounded by woods, a big place, and souls move in and out, things like that. He seems like he's talking in like he's talking fragmented or maybe in a cryptic way that references like real things, but only to how his type sees the world, maybe. So it's not how a typical human would see the world, but these, I guess you can call them demons, but they're spirits that are imposing themselves into these bodies, and they talk in different ways. They manipulate these people to say their thoughts or like how they perceive the world that they inhabit. You know, it's a different way.
They influence their actions or behaviors.
Yeah, to them,
either like directly or indirectly.
To them, I don't know if they know that they're killing people or if that's their intent. Maybe they're just a force of nature that just, nature does not forgive or forget. Like it's unrelenting. Like if you go out in nature, you're going under the assumption you have to abide by nature's rules. So that it's not out to kill you. Just know that if you put yourself in a dangerous situation, the odds are against you. Like
Well, we clearly know from the return that Bob is like alien to our world. Like he did not originate in our world, which makes total sense. But like Mike talks about like we used to be partners. He was my familiar. We used to go around causing fear and suffering and feasting on that shit, that Garmonbosia.
Yep, and Bob likes to have fun,
Well, that's Bob's kind of fun. Is he gets Garmonbozia and eats that gobbledy little cream corn up, and the way that he harvests that is by causing fear and pain and all these terrible emotions in people. And yeah, I mean, killing clearly there's a body count attached to him.
But yeah, do they see that as killing, or they're just a force of nature that has to live by their rules? And
I think
the
that
real people know that, like, that's horrible. You're killing people, but they're like,
Mhm.
I'm just living. I'm just doing what's necessary for me. Like
I don't think so. I don't think that it's a just causality. It's like I don't think it's just an effect or like a side effect of what they're doing. I think that they both consciously know what they are doing, that they are like,
mhm.
we are separate from humans. We are inflicting pain and causing all kinds of distress around for these mortal beings so that we can harvest this essence from them.
So
Because
yeah, okay. So it is like, but they are remorseful. They're like,
I don't think so. Well, I think Mike is after a point because he says like I saw God and was purified. So he certainly has some sort of like revelation of like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore.
mhm.
Because he says something about like we canned that he and Bob caused so much pain and suffering that they like stored the Garmonbozia. They didn't have to harvest it and eat every time they harvested it. They like got enough. They built a stockpile and kept it in the convenience store. But Bob stole a bunch of that shit, which is why Mike is out here looking for him. Like, hey, bro, you took my Kool-Aid, and I don't want to go out and have to kill for it. I don't know, but I do think that it is purposeful on like Bob's part because he is sending calling cards by putting the letters under the fingernails of people,
Yep.
because all that does is creates more pain and suffering for people outside of the direct victim of that violence. It it brings in the FBI, it brings in these people to investigate like what the fuck is happening, is there a serial killer, like it spreads to people.
Yep. He talks
And
about
that's like
parasites. Yeah, that's like one of his things in this. He talks about parasitic relationships. They feed on this, and the parasite that's within Twin Peaks is them, and they're feeding off this fear. That's where they get off. They're like, yeah, Twin Peaks is a great spot to feed on fear, and there's been a bunch of shit that's been happening in Twin Peaks that
mm-hmm.
is great for us. I mean, we love it.
They
We live off
Mike
that.
even yeah, Mike even says that Bob's been around in Twin Peaks for 40 years, and like who knows where he was kicking around before that, but like as we know from some stuff in the secret history, there is a history of these occurrences and events and things that happen that if somebody was out there that could like get some creamed corn out of it, they certainly have had many opportunities.
Dream Soul's trying to come in and chime in about the cream corn.
He's creaming his own corn.
Yeah, he's like, Garmin Bowles,
Harmonbogia.
This Formica table.
I really, really, really enjoy this. I think I'm kind of a macabre person in some ways, and these explorations of these demons, of these uh, creatures, and how they affect people, and how the people that they affect go on to like carry out their lives and treat the other people around them is just really fascinating to me. It's nice that we don't get answers because you get stuff to think about, you get stuff to chew on.
Yeah, and that's the interesting aspect of it. You get answers in some things. These small little interpersonal relationships. There are answers you get, and the most of the interactions play out like soap operas. But then when you dive into like the mystery and the atmosphere and Twin Peaks as a whole, and you get into like the really eerie stuff, the supernatural, that's when you have like all these other questions that never get answered or understood, but you can read into them, and you can read in on their influence of these people and how they made their decisions. That's when it gets super interesting, and that's when you start talking like, oh, we can speculate like, oh yeah, he did that because of this. Like Leo Johnson could have been inflicted by some of these parasites,
For
and that's what
sure.
made him do what he did.
Yeah, because we all it would take is like somebody who knew Leo in his earlier life to be like, yeah, he was abused and mistreated by somebody else, and it's all like part of a cycle, and you kind of have to think like at some point who's being influenced by whom or what to inflict these things on other people.
Yeah, and you got to know like who are the demons and who are the angels, right? Who are these?
Yeah.
Who are the good, like the antagonists to the demons that are trying to do their bidding on this world? Like, is it the interactions of the love triangle of James and Laura, and like, is it that situation, or is it Bobby and Shelley? Is it like they seem like they're pretty pure? Bobby's very unhinged in some situations, but he's also like really loving, and he wants to protect Shelley to the best of his ability. So it's like
Yeah.
is just that interaction between those two helping keep them from being corrupted or like
Well,
affected?
yeah. I mean, we have to say yes because in that thing that we saw, that article or whatever about Major Briggs, it talks about how like to enter the White Lodge, you basically have to approach it with just like unbounding love.
Yep.
And to get to the White Lodge, you have to pass through the Black Lodge, and you're gonna face the Dweller on the threshold. And if you meet that with imperfect courage or fear in your heart, you're gonna get fucking destroyed. And so like love is the thing that keeps these demons maybe at bay or lessens their ability to influence certain people.
Yep. And that was the thing that I totally connect with that, even though it's a speculation, and they put good evidence behind that, especially with Major Briggs and his approach to everything. Even when he talks to Bobby, knowing Bobby's a little shit, he still treats him like, you know what, I can't hate this kid. I gotta love him. I gotta keep that in my heart. I have to know, like, this
Robert,
is, I know where I'm going, and yeah, he
we
knows
all
how to interact.
we all have our trials and tribulations, Robert. But as men, we must step up. I don't know why I'm turning into Carl Sagan. Um,
Billions and billions.
billions and billions, but we as the audience kind of get to be our own Major Briggs because his whole thing is just to in a like an official bureaucratic origin point maybe, but his whole thing is to look out at the world and be like, what's out there, what is going on. And I don't even know that he is like specifically like got a checklist or like he's going to fill in blanks of like, this is the answer to this, this is the answer to this. I think for him the most important thing is asking these questions and being this person to like seek out this information, and just the quest for the knowledge in and of itself is the not the goal but like the purpose.
Yeah, well, he's like the most pragmatic character, other than like maybe Dale, but I
But
mean, he's
we
very spiritual too. Like Dale's spiritual, but Major Briggs is like on another level of spiritual that
yeah.
Dale is trying to attain.
and like we as the audience, we're sitting here and we've got our questions and we speculate and we wonder about the nature of this world, same as Major Briggs is doing. He's just sitting in a military installation doing it.
Yeah, there should be more stuff. Like I'm really interested in Major Briggs's like lore and him and like what he means to the overall like safety of Twin Peaks, because he probably chose Twin Peaks for that specific reason of like, I am
Well,
the guardian of this. Like, I mean, even the Bookhouse Boys, like, they claim to be guardians of the evils that happen in Twin Peaks, but Major Briggs is on another level of like guardianship of the demons and keeping them at bay to some
mhm.
extent, or at least monitoring the activity of them.
I believe it's in the Secret History, but that is a reason to revisit Secret History because it it does so much to lay out background, and then at like not at the end, but at some point it directly says, and then Major Garland Briggs enters the equation, and this is exactly how he slots into here and leads up to this point, upcoming or like before the investigation of the murder of Laura Palmer, And here's, yeah, if you want Briggs lore, the Secret History I think is the place to look.
I'm definitely gonna. I want to dive into those things too after we kind of go chronologically out and then kind of backtrack on these things that have been published after the fact. Even the lost tapes of Dale, or all that stuff is great. It just adds a little bit more character to everything.
Yeah, sure, certainly. Like it's been a while since I watched that the video of the tapes to Diane thing, but I imagine that there's probably some point where it's like, Diane, I just went on a fishing trip with Major Briggs and he completely disappeared. What's going on?
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely worth checking out. I mean, if you want to get into the lore, the deep lore, I guess, and it would probably fill in some gaps, maybe things that you're questioning, or because the events that take place in the show, I want to know what really resonated with people as they were watching live. Like when this episode aired initially, what gravitated people to like keep watching the next one? Like, were they in? Did they really want to speculate on the supernatural aspect of what was going on? Did they care about that more than they cared about the stuff with like James?
Or was everybody on the edge of their seat being like, who is that? Who's talking more?
Yeah, who's talking more? Like, what's
Was
happening?
that the like major water cooler topic? Yeah,
What's
it would
going on
be
with that
really-
character?
it'd be really interesting to be able to have a peek into that world of like, yeah, the water cooler reaction week to week of what people were actually latching onto.
Yeah, because I there's a few shows that I've been able to like have that kind of water cooler talk about, and like I've done it with you with Game of Thrones. When we were at work and things like that, we'd be like, did you see that episode? Like, oh my gosh.
Or
But like
True Detective or Westworld or
True
something.
Detective, Westworld, Lost was a huge one for me. Like,
Yeah.
I watched that. I mean, I didn't see the first 3 seasons as they aired, but I watched season 4, 5, and 6. I think it ends with 6. But I watched all those as they were airing live, and those were events. Like, people would like speculate on like, all right, there's more questions, there's more answers, like what's going on with this now, like did you see what was going on, did you pick up on the numbers that they dropped, or like all these other things that clues upon clues. Like there's rare cases of that happening now, like because everything's bingeable. You can watch everything in one sitting and be like, oh great, I don't get a week to speculate. Like I think Game of Thrones is probably the last one that did that, where you could speculate on like, oh man, that's crazy.
Or it's stuff like what happens in each episode that we do watch. If it's not like all dumped at one spot, it's just like, I mean, there was nothing really to latch onto. We just learned a couple things and things happened, but I guess we'll see at the end of the season. Like I'm thinking of like Marvel TV shows or some other things that have like come out in streaming. It's like the overall story is less important than like these individual things happening in the episodes, but even those individual things are not that stupendous.
Yep. The Dream Soul is definitely wanting to break through and say something at the moment.
We mentioned Marvel. Maybe that was it.
Yeah, that's true. You did.
let's just whisper Thor, Captain America, Black Widow, X-Men,
Beast,
Nightcrawler, Victor Von Doom,
Jubilee,
oh,
Kitty Pryde.
well, yeah. I can open up Marvel Snap right now and just keep him entertained for hours.
Squirrel Girl.
Squirrel Girl, goddamn.
Doesn't she like blow up squirrels though? Like,
blow up squirrels? I don't know. I'm going to confidently guess no, but
I'm gonna say that's her lore. Is she puts bombs in squirrels, or maybe I'm thinking of a. Did they put bombs in rats in the Suicide Squad?
I can't say that you're wrong, but I want
Oh,
to guess that Marvel has not published comic books where Squirrel
you know
Girl is
what?
just exploding
I
squirrels.
think I'm thinking of Lego Marvel superheroes, and you can play as a squirrel girl, and all she does is throw squirrels, and the squirrels blow up like bombs. That's what I'm thinking of.
Okay,
That's what I'm thinking
fair
of.
enough. Fair enough. So I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong because that could totally be her thing. I've never read a single thing with Squirrel Girl in it. I just know that she exists.
Well, I remember from your Marvel Snap, I think.
Her thing in Marvel Snap is just you put her one place and then every other location she just tosses out a squirrel. It just is, and then it just sits there. It certainly doesn't explode.
Do you get that, Dream Soul? Dream Soul?
I dream so.
All right. Well,
Demons.
we exhausted this episode. It was a great episode. A lot of really cool stuff. Demons. Yeah, it's definitely trickling in this spooky vibes and really eerie tension that happens. I love the fact that when things are going down with evil doers or evil intent, it's raining. I mean, that last one where it was raining and lightning and everything like that definitely set the stage. So
There's something to be said about that for Leland coming up.
nice.
I'm trying to be vague, but we'll talk about it more when it actually happens. But that's a good point. The connection between like rain and precipitation and a lot of these big darker moments sometimes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
All right, that's our cue. Like to thank everybody for watching again. Definitely hit that like button and subscribe for more of this content. Definitely, we love to hear from you. Thanks for all the people who did comment. We love to hear from those people.
This week, let's make the comments be about who do you think represents whom in the analogy between Twin Peaks and the Wizard of Oz. Who's Dorothy? Is it Dale? Is it Audrey? Who's the Cowardly Lion? Who's the representative of the Lollipop Guild? You determine and leave it in the comments.
I like that. That's really good. And yeah, you heard our list. Let us know yours.
Wait, did they? I don't know that
We kind of did.
record any of that.
We might have. I mean,
Well, regardless, you don't need to know. You don't need to know our thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Get in the comments below.
Get in the comments. Tell us what you think.
See, that's what you do when you leave a comment on a YouTube video, brother. You type out a message and then you hit enter and you hit send and you say, "Well, that's a comment, dude.
there's a comment, dude.
That's how you leave feedback, brother."
All right. Thanks, everybody. And hit that notification bell if you ever want to be notified when a new episode comes out. It definitely helps you so you can be aware and be up to date. So
You can ring my bride. Ring my bride.
ring my bride. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Okay. I'm going to use that as his goodbye.